Okay, let's get started. So I know John's got another appointment.
Sorry, what do I say?
American.
To the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas, one state, under God.
one and indivisible. Let us pray. God, I thank you again for another opportunity to serve the people in which you put us around and that you put in our community. God, I ask as we make decisions that we are wise to what we think and what we say. God, I pray that it is to the betterment of our county. God, I pray and thank you for the rain that you've been sending over the last couple of months. And Lord, I lift up those counties that have received quite an abundance of rain. Lord, be with Booker and those in Perryton area and all of those surrounded with the massive rain they received the last couple of days. Lord, be with us today. Thank you for those who fight for our freedoms, who protect our health, our first responders who fight fires and keep things going so that we can have the life that we need in Hutchinson County. Be with us again today in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda is public comments. Do I have any public comments? Okay, hearing none. Item 3 is to consider and or approve our outside auditor's report for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022. Good to have you here, John.
Good to finally be here.
Yes.
I was looking at my notes from last year and I realized exactly how late I am. I do apologize for that. It's been a year. So I think everyone can really say. Not if I can get my fingers work here.
Thank you, sir.
I'll pass one back.
Actually, she's gonna get the stack, so
Oh, okay.
she gets all the extras. But thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Now that's out of the way. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Ayers. I'm the audit partner with Deutsche Pickens and Francis, your external auditors. Before I begin, I do want to thank this court for allowing us to once again come up and serve Hutchinson County in that capacity. I didn't get to make the trip this year. They don't let me leave the office too much, except to come to meetings like this. Otherwise, they keep me pretty well trained to my desk. So from what my staff told me, it was an enjoyable trip. Your officials did everything that we asked of them, and it was a good time. So you got a good group of people here. And usually I make a joke about training them to their desks, but apparently that violates some kind of election law or something. So do that. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this. Page number 1 is our independent auditor's report. This has changed up somewhat significantly from the previous year. The Government Accountability Office, the lovely folks in the DC that write the standards that we have to abide by, just cannot seem to leave well enough alone. So I'm going to go over kind of the formatting of it and let you know where all the information is. Starts off giving you our opinions now that we've audited the accompanying financial statements of the governmental activities, business type activities, the each major fund and the aggregate remaining fund information of the company as of and for the year ended September 30th, 2022, and that, in our opinion, both statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. It is the cleanest opinion we can give. I can't remember how many journal entries we had for you, but it was minimal. 1 or 2, something like that. So you've got a tremendous auditor who is really taking strides to make sure you've got a very, very clean set of books to base all of your decisions off of. That second section is the basis for opinions. It's the standards that we use to conduct the audit. The third section is the responsibility of management. This is Alicia's absolute favorite because it's the one that puts her on the hook. Starts off talking about the management of the county is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, including the design and implementation of internal control to ensure that they're free of material misstatement, whether due to error or fraud. What that translates to in English, because I recognize it wasn't, is that these first 3 pages are mine. The rest of this book is ideally supposed to be hers. What the GAO is continuing to push is that by sitting and preparing your financial statements, we are impairing our independence. Our response is that's a load of hooey. People simply taking your numbers and put them into format. But what they ideally want to happen is that your auditor prepares this booklet cover to cover, and we just come in and put our letter in it. Or you have another firm come in and do the financial statement operation. As I've told you in the past, that would not be economically feasible for the Panhandle. So nobody has the budget to handle that outside of Potter, Randall County. So thankfully, they need to allow us to work around where we have the auditor, the treasurer, and the judge, I believe, all three. Moving it. Yep. Sign off on what we call a management representation letter. It asserts to us that they've read through the financials and really that she's read through the financials and is willing and able to accept responsibility for them. And I can just take you at your word right now. I'm sure the next step is going to be a lie detector test, and then it's going to be a blood sample, and probably a firstborn child, and who knows what's coming next. There's my laugh. Okay, got my first laugh of the morning. It's a good day. But no, that's the darkest news of the morning. Figured I'd get it out of the way early, but that is kind of what's on the horizon and what's out there. They have been talking about this for about 15 years now. They keep inching it closer and closer, but I'm hoping they never make the final push until I retire, and then I don't care. They did add a new responsibility to you this year, and that's that second paragraph. You have to promise me that Hutchinson County is going to be here in 12 months. Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why they put that standard in there. My theory is that it's actually a holdover from some changes they made to the not-for-profit world. Not-for-profit accounting and governmental accounting share a lot of similarities with each other, and I really think somebody just copied and pasted standard over. We're not seeing a lot of government stay up in the night like we do not-for-profit individuals. The auditor's responsibility is actually the only change on this entire letter that I agree with. It really just bullet points out exactly what we are taking responsibility for versus what we are not. A study was conducted and it was discovered that governing bodies coast to coast were getting a financial statement audit and a forensic fraud examination conflated. They're not the same thing. They do not have the same purposes. You did not engage us to come in and root out fraud in your organization. However, we are required, if we see any indications of it, to bring it to your attention. There were none, but they are not, those two they do not serve the same function. So this just gets everyone on the same page as to exactly what is going on versus what is not. All right, geez, that's out of the way. Let's talk numbers. Page 4, your statement of net position, your balance sheet. You will see the governmental activities. This is the general fund, the ARPA funds, all the non-major funds, the $1 and $2 fines and fees that the clerks and the JPs get to collectively love so very much. All aggregated together with all the long-term assets and liabilities presented. The business type activities would be the airport coming into a countywide total column. Well, as we've done in the past, we'll just take it kind of column by column and we'll do changes as we go. So cash and cash equivalents, governmental activities, you ended the year with $14.6 million. That's up about $109 million over the previous year. The airport ended the year with $201,000 of cash. That's up about $104,000 over the previous year. So cash reserves are up a little over $2 million year over year. As far as the rest of your assets, I will point out the net pension asset, it's just a handful of lines below that, of $6,907,000 for countywide. This is your TCDRS retirement plan, and that is their December 31st, 2021 actuarial valuation on it. And that is up $7.4 million over the year. TCDRS had a very, very good year in the marketplace. So we're seeing all of their pension plans across the Panhandle flip from being a net pension liability to a net pension asset this year. Now I'm going to get on the bandwagon early for this. I do not want you to look at this number and think that you have drastically overvalued your plan. When their reporting model shows you at the December 31st, 2021 at 96.5% funded, which is pretty comparable to where you were last year. So you're not significantly overfunded. This is also based on a lot of actuarial assumptions. So between that and market fluctuations, I have no idea what the December 31st, 22 valuation will look at. So as I've told you in the past, and as I will always implore you to do not base any decisions off of this number. This is not a good decision-making tool. If you, as the governing body, you want to investigate your plan though and tweak it somewhat, the best piece of advice we can give you is to get TCDRS to physically stand in the building and let you know what your funding status is at that moment. That way you have good, accurate, current information to base any decisions off of. So please don't look at that $7 million asset and think you've put way too much money into the plan. You really haven't. You're at a good, healthy funding status. Our recommendation is don't change anything, but really that's your decision. Just please let TCDRS tell you where you are at that moment if you do want to make any alterations. Okay, all for that. Moving down to the liabilities. You will see due to other governmental agencies, this is the second line underneath liabilities, $3,160,000. This is the unspent ARPA funds, and that's up about $1.1 million over the year. So the $3 million is approximately what you have left to spend, and the BLF, whatever it is, the COVID grants, the umpteen million of them. You did spend a significant sum of money on that this year, and we'll get to that in just a little bit, but that is what is remaining. As far as your equity net position at the bottom of the page there, unrestricted, this is your equity. If the county were to take all of the assets, convert them to cash, pay off all your obligations, this is what you'd be left over with. $11,162,000 for governmental activities. And that's up about $2 million over the previous year. Basically, the cash increase, you drop straight to your bottom line. And for the business activities, up about $141,000. Basically, again, the cash increases. Running the calculations that I run for you, the annual expenditures averaged evenly over the 12 months. The general fund could operate for a little over 9 months without without having to collect any additional revenue. And the airport could operate for just short of 3 months, 2.7. So that's a theoretical type discussion. It's not anything that you actually will base money or base any decisions on, but it does tell you that you've got nice, stable equity reserves should something catastrophic befall the county. And it's all sitting up there in your cash. As far as your current ratios, the county's ability to pay off current obligations that are due and payable in fiscal 23 with the cash that you have on hand, cash and receivables you have on hand. For the general fund, you can pay them off 4 times over, and the airport, you can pay them off 5 times over. So long story short, Hutchinson County is in very strong financial condition, and you not drastically, but you have improved your condition year over year. So everything that was really good last year has just gotten better for you. Page 5, your statement of activities, your income statement. In the top left-hand corner, as I told you in the past, we have the expenses of the county broken down by what we call functional area. Again, the governmental activities at the top, the airport down at the bottom. Moving across the top of the page, we have any direct charges for services or operating grants that you receive coming into what it truly costs to provide those functions. And then down those right-hand columns, you have your general revenues, property taxes, interest, and investment earnings, things of that nature. They're not program specific. They can be applied across the board. Coming down to your change in net position or net income for the year. As far as the expenses go, grand total, $15,402,000. You're down about $1.3 million over the previous year. Most of that sitting up in the general fund, which is down by itself 1.5 million or about 9%, that $14 million number. The lion's share of that is in the public safety line item, where last year you had some significant costs related to the dispatch tower and equipment and the agreement that you have going on with Porter. That was all taken care of last year, and so those costs came down. I will point out the airport at a little over $1 million. It's up about $244,000, and that is all in fuel. The entirety of that increase is sitting right there. You did recoup some of that with the charges for services for the airport at $758,000. That's up $325,000 over the previous year. So you were able to kind of offset that a little bit. Property taxes, $12,635,000 are down a little over $532,000, or 4% year over year. You had a decrease in valuation from the CAD at 2.63%. You held your rate flat, no changes whatsoever. So the remaining decrease is just fluctuations in the collection percentages. And it was only by about 1%. So that's not anything really worth noticing, but that decrease in valuation did hurt you a little bit at $500,000. So starting on page 6 is the fund level presentation. I'm not going to go over these in any great detail, but this is more akin to what you've seen coming out of the auditor and treasurer's offices on a monthly basis. You will see the general fund, the road and bridge, the ARPA grant, all broken out. And then the odd numbered pages 7 and 9 are the reconciliation between what we've already gone over. And again, this fund level presentation. Page 10 starts the retelling of the airport. I do not know why the governmental accounting tells me has me completely reprint the airport with 0 changes on it, but here's the airport broken out in slightly bigger type. However, on page 12, it does give you a little bit more detail on the expenses of the airport, just so you can see by line item exactly what is going on. And you can also see that second line under operating expenses of fuel and material result, $556,000. That is that increase we were talking about. Pages 15 and 16 are the statement of changes and statements on the fiduciary net position. I'm going to actually talk about those in just a little bit later on. So moving on to the notes on page 17. Again, as I told you in the past, I'm not going to go over these in any great detail. There's not enough coffee in the world to get through that. The ones that I think are going to be of the most interest to you, first one being note number 4 on page 27. This is not a required disclosure. This is something that our firm adds in for the benefit of the court. It talks about the constitutional limits that the state of Texas says you can assess in property taxes compared to where you actually are. Again, it's a theoretical discussion because it doesn't take into account rollback elections or the statutory limits of how far you can actually raise your rate in a given year. It assumes you could just completely max it out. But assuming you could raise your rate from the 59.5 cents that it was on the last roll, you could generate an additional $4.5 million worth of revenue. What this tells the readers and the court is that should something absolutely catastrophic befall the county, between your cash reserves, your equity reserves, and your ability to take on debt and your ability to maneuver within your tax rate, you've left yourselves every tool available to be able to handle a situation that as it comes up. This also does not take into account the fact that there are 2 more tax rolls or tax rates you could assess, assuming the voters allowed you, the road and bridge rate and the lateral road rate. So you've got some significant maneuverability within your tax rates. Quite frankly, you've got a more flexibility than a lot of the counties in the area they've got all 3 rates assessed and they're kind of bumping up against their maxes. So you have some very nice reserves while keeping your tax rate at everything very manageable. So that is something that the court needs to be commended for. And that's where that note comes from. Note number 5 on page 28, your capital asset note. This just kind of details out exactly what the changes were for your fixed assets during the year. I will point out the second line there, construction and process. Moving across the top, you see transfers, reclassifications of a little over $2 million. That's the courthouse AC and water pipe project that was put into service and began depreciating during the fiscal year. And the $33,000 that's left over is the elevator upgrade project that is still ongoing, or at least it was ongoing as of the end of the year. I'm assuming it still is. Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's done.
No, it's done.
Hey, there we go. That project went much smoother than the last one.
Yes, it did.
Wow, that got a lot of reaction. I'm so sorry. Touchy subject. The $948,000 under equipment, the equipment increases, that's various vehicles that you purchased, a motor grader, and then radios and radio equipment as well. But that just kind of let you see exactly dollar-wise what you spent on various projects and activities. Note number 7, the retirement plan, starting on page 30. Good lengthy discussion on your retirement plan. It gives you all the information that you need. I'm not going to go over it because it will put everyone to sleep. I know, I wrote it. It's bad, but it is very good information. I do recommend going through it at some point, just not at night. Pages 42 through 44 are the budgetary comparison schedule. The general fund are the first 2 pages, and the road and bridge fund is the last one. Just so you can see kind of how all the various departments handled their budgets, and nothing really to disclose there, but that's where that information is. Page 45 is the last one that I talk about your retirement plan. This is a 10-year trend that what I've shown you in the past, but I really wanted to highlight that middle line yet again, and the investment income net of investment expenses, and show you exactly how good of a year TCCR has reported. They allocated to you $10.5 million worth of gains. That single-handedly is what flipped you from me having a net pension liability to a net pension asset this year. So not knowing what that number is going to do next year is why this is a horrible set of numbers to base decisions off of. So this just kind of solidified exactly what I was talking about earlier. All right. Basically, that is the ball game. I'm just going to run through the last of this just so you know where the rest of it is. Pages 49 through quite a bit. 56 is just the combining statements on all the non-major funds, balance sheet first and then income statements. This is not required information. This is something that our firm does for the benefit of the court. This way you can put your eyes on every single fund of the county and know exactly how they're all behaving and operating. Nothing to disclose here. Everything's looking very good. You did get all the new special revenue funds implemented that the state said you needed to for the new fees that the clerks began collecting. So that statement did get a little bit longer, but everything's looking good. Pages 57 and 58 now. This is that in the fiduciary net position that we'll get back to. This is the exact same information, just the combining broken down by each one of the offices. So you can see exactly how they're all behaving. 57 is the cash that they're holding on hand for other entities at the end of the year, whether that be other taxing jurisdictions, inmate trust funds, things like county registry funds, things of that nature. There is a new statement on page 58. This year, we did have to include not only the ending cash balances, but also how much cash there flew the various offices and document their receipts and disbursements as well as the cash that they have on hand. So if you flip to page 58 there, you can see exactly how busy your officials are. And I will just point out that your tax assessor is extremely busy, running $60 million through her office in a single year. And when we got down to the end of it, she knew exactly who every penny was owed to. All of your officials did. I'm just calling her out because that's a very large number to go through an office. All your officials are doing excellent work. I really cannot speak highly enough of them. They're doing fantastic for us. And then usually I was in there, but this year I've got something new for you. Pages 59 and 60. Because of the COVID grant, the CSLFRF grant, ARPA funds is what it was originally called. Anytime you spend more than $750,000, normally that would trigger what's called a single audit. Thankfully, the Treasury Department has given us it's called alternative compliance examinations. If you don't have any other grants that contribute to that single audit threshold, and you didn't. So all you had was the $948,000, I believe it was, of COVID money that you spent during the fiscal year. So that is what this report is talking about. This will be something that as soon as I get back to Amarillo tomorrow morning, I will file with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse for the feds to be able to see and to pull down on their end. But it lets them know that we did test the COVID funds for allowable costs and allowable activities, and everything looked perfect. You're spending the funds within the parameters that the Treasury Department says you're allowed to, with of course you already knew, because you've got an excellent county auditor. But we are issuing the report attesting to that fact, and then we will be filing that with the Fed on your behalf tomorrow morning, so that your final filing requirement for this fiscal year will be handled and taken care of. So that's where that report is and what it's talking about. With that, I just tried to hit the highlights for you this morning, and I know I also went through it very, very quickly. Are there any questions or concerns that I can address for you? Crickets. Either I put everyone to sleep or I did good. I don't know which. I got my, I'm happy.
Good job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody? Question?
No.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all. That should have been an action item. Can't leave until you accept it.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the yearly auditor's report?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
Yearly auditor's report. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions for John? All in favor? Okay.
Folks, thank you again so much for your time this morning. I do.
You're heading to
appreciate it.
Hansford now?
I'm heading to Hansford now. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'm Hansford, and then I've got to be in Perryton this afternoon. So
Oh, boy.
fun day.
Yeah,
At least it's all in one direction.
yes.
Before I make my escape, thank you again, like I was saying. I do greatly appreciate it. And as I told you in the past, we're not a firm just to come in at the end of the year and drive your officials crazy. Although it's kind of fun.
Mhm.
We're year round for you. If there's ever anything that we can do to assist you, and for anybody in the room, if there's ever anything that we can do to assist you, please do not hesitate to give us a call. Our philosophy is that phone calls are always free. We don't start our clocks ticking till we have to go somewhere, prepare something. So take advantage of that as often as you need to.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
I
John.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming down. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna skip down to our executive session because I think Craig has another appointment that he's got to get to. So let's break into executive session. at this time, and then we'll come back to our bills and things, so. Russell. And you guys stay. Josh.
Do you want me to stay or go?
Like from Brownfield told me you got a golf bag you're supposed to deliver. All right.
Chris has got it.
On Zoom.
High school coach.
You can go. I might holler at
I
you.
walked in and Mike was sitting behind me. So I started.
No, stay, because we're gonna,
He goes, I'm at one of your commissioners. Said,
okay. All right, Russell and Josh, you guys are gonna need to go out for a minute because we've got to discuss some
He
other.
never, I probably had.
Have,
Really?
yeah, Kurt.
Did.
Kurt's gonna-
That's cool.
Oh, I know, but it didn't have as many compartments as mine did.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Can we take Pam out? We don't need her in there.
So Chris has got it.
Yeah.
You got a new golf bag.
Yeah, I do. I open the pockets up and I can still hear Gary telling the story.
You expected something different?
I sat in front of that commissioner at a funeral the other day and he told me that.
I was shocked.
Oh, assign manually. Yeah, there you go. And then we just need Kurt in there. Yeah, click on that, assign. Yeah. Open, open, yeah. Thank you.
And then we got to join it.
Yeah, unassigned is Pam. Before it had assigned manually, I mean automatically. Kurt, can you hear us? No. He needs
We have
to,
to click on.
We need to join room 1.
yeah, join. Yeah. Nine,
Are we start?
yeah, we're back.
Go ahead.
Oh, good.
Great location.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you, man.
Okay, okay, we went out at 9:58.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, because we skipped ahead. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, we did.
We went
Now we're going to start the meeting. Business on.
out.
Yeah, and back in at 11, right?
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Okay, we are on item 9 or 10, which is consider and or approving the action from executive session, and at this time, no action. So we're going to go back to item 4, which is to approve the minutes from our previous commissioners' court meeting.
Yes, so there were no corrections or additions to the special meeting on June 19th, 2023, and the regular meeting on June 26th, 2023.
Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
I move to accept both minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 5 is to consider and or approve the county auditor's tabulated report to the commissioners' court. Y'all had a chance to review that.
Yes.
I move to approve the county auditor's report.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Item 6 is questions or inquiries on the bills. Anybody have any questions on the bills for this month?
Like a motion to pay bills.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. And item 8 is to consider and or approve payroll. Amy, do you have anything?
We had payroll for $896,921.66. Do you have any questions on the payroll?
Do I have a motion?
I move.
Okay, we have a motion. Was that a second?
That's second.
Okay, all right, motion and second to approve payroll. Any further discussion? All in favor?
What else was going on?
Okay, item 11 is to consider and or approve interlocal agreement with the Regional Public Defender for capital cases. This is just an updated agreement. We do this every year. They prosecute the capital cases if we have any.
It's the one we got on our,
I emailed it to you, yeah.
I move to,
Oh, and Craig, and just to let y'all know, I sent it to Craig. He reviewed it, has no problems with it.
I move to enter into interlocal agreement with Region Public Defender for capital cases.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Item 12 is to consider and or approve the Texas Health and Human Services contract and the data use agreement. That's yours, right, Kelly?
Yes.
Yep.
So Craig and Russell have looked over and approved this. It's through the Department of State and Health Services. It's a computer program, TextEver, that we can print out the short form birth certificates for anyone born in the state of Texas, as well as death certificates come through this system. So that
I think the
is,
JPs use it to enter all their stuff too.
yes. Yeah, and if we had a home birth outside of the city limits at Borger, things like that, it all goes through this system that goes directly to Texas State Vital Statistics. Something we have to have.
I move to approve interlocal agreement. I'm sorry, I move to approve Texas Health and Human Service contract and data use agreement.
No, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 13 is to consider and or approve interlocal agreements with cities of Borger, Fritz, Stinnett, and Sanford, inspector agreement and amended agreement with TCEQ. That was a lot, Amy.
Okay, so this is a lot. This is just stuff that needs to be updated. We haven't had an update, I think the last like 2008 maybe on the TCEQ order that needed to be amended on that for the reason they had it as the judge was the DR on that, not our DR, which is Jeremy Bland. We also did not have an agreement or contract with Jeremy Bland as well. We did have it in the minutes that the court had agreed, but we did not have it in a contract. So that was something that we needed to have in there. And then we did have a few of the interlocal agreements. I think we had one with Borger and we had one with Stanford. But when they did their TCEQ audit, we did not have one with Fritz nor Stinnett. And so we did get those approved through the cities of Borger, Stinnett, Sanford, and Fritz, and those that I had sent to y'all as well. So these are just things that we do need to have in for TCEQ.
So all we're approving today is just the interlocal agreements with Borger Fritz as stated here on the agenda. We're not approving the contracts or any of that you just stated.
Yes, everything is ready. Everything's been sent through Craig. Everything is ready to be.
I think Amy said, did you just send out
I sent out all of it.
yeah, the order adopting rules of Hutchinson County, Texas for on-site sewage?
Correct. So there was the inspector agreement. The agreement for contract is Jeremy's agreement for the inspector. And then all the interlocal agreements, there should have been a total of 6.
Yeah.
And then I did send out only for the first, but then I had to send out another one because we were still waiting on some information that we needed to get with Jeremy on that me and Craig needed to get with Jeremy on the order through TCEQ.
So I can't personally, simply because I guess I overlooked it. I can't approve the contract. I haven't read it yet.
Don't think we're there either.
I
Not for
apologize.
Jeremy anyway.
Well, that's the inspector. I mean, that's the on-site sewage facilities. If y'all need to, the thing about it is that if y'all want to change that later, that's fine, but this needs to be taken care of with TCQ at this time. So we can go ahead. We can always do an amendment and change that later when y'all are ready, because I understand that there is some things that y'all have up in the air. And like I told Dwight, there's no reason for me to do all this legwork if y'all are going to go back in and change it within the next couple of months. And he said, no, that'll probably be a little bit before we can get to that. So
I was just thinking the interlocal agreement, not the contracts with us because he works for us as a court, not for you. Jeremy does.
well, correct. This is not an agreement for me and Jeremy.
Yeah.
This.
I just don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I haven't looked.
Why does the agreement with Jeremy have to be tied to the interlocal agreements?
Because
I mean, it doesn't have to all be done.
that he is our DR with the Hutchinson County. That he is our DR and it gives him the right to go and do these inspections for us. Because if we do not have this, we will have to stop all septics in Hutchinson County until we get, this is why I've been trying to get this done. Because they said if our order is not, now, I mean, if y'all need time to look over it, I understand. But our order, if we want to proceed doing septics in Hutchinson County right now, we need this amended as ASAP, she said. I've been working on this since probably March,
Is that when they came in and did the review?
right after they
Yeah.
did the reviews for the audit. And they
Right.
said, you need to update we need to do an amendment on your TCEQ. And then these are the other things that you need as well, so we can be compliant with TCEQ. So if there's needing to be changes made later, we can still make those changes. This isn't like, oh, you have to do this, but this is for until those changes.
This gives the authority for Jeremy to act as our DR
Correct,
right now.
correct, yes. And it is in the minutes that he is our DR, and they accepted it, but they didn't feel, they said you really need an agreement contract on that for Jeremy.
So did you raise these fees? The
I did not, I didn't do
fees are
anything, the fees.
225.
These fees are what were already, what's already
So
there.
we do charge 225
Yes,
when they come in?
And we raised those.
we did.
Amy, didn't we raise those a couple of years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, we did. And we are under, then a lot, like if Amarillo or I think some of the other areas, we're under those fee charges. So
That was the name on your contract.
the one,
I'm sorry, I just looked at yours that was blank. And I guess I didn't see
here,
the one with Jeremy on it.
Look in the one, the email that had all the.
which one are you talking about? That was blank.
The one you sent me.
I sent everything that needed to be filled out or what I could fill out at that time. It should. But if y'all need more time to review, that's fine. We can, you know. But this is something that TCQ, they keep. They're wanting this information.
Apparently, we haven't messed with it since 2008. So
Exactly. That's what
Couple
I'm
more
saying.
months won't
We
kill
have
us.
not been
I don't think it
audited.
was.
yeah.
The TCQ was supposed to come in every 2 years.
You don't know these government.
and they just have.
And since I had been in the office, they had not came in and audited us, so we probably have not had an audit at least 6 years, if not.
So
more.
did they just call you and say, oh, or did they just show up one day?
They called Jeremy
Oh,
and he called and said, hey, we're setting a date for this audit.
oh, okay.
So we're a TCQ audit, so.
So, what are y'all's thoughts on why we can't move forward with this? What are your reservations?
There's, well, it sounds like.
There's a lot of problems with inspections. There's a lot of problems getting it done. And I know Dwight's been working on it. We've both been
So
on it. It's got to be fixed.
I'm okay with interlocal agreements, but we have got to rework the contract better. And
I would go along with the.
so the interlocal agreement, I mean, I don't mind naming Jeremy, but I'm not. The interlocal agreement has to have this contract with it. TCQ needs the contract with the,
They need to know who the DR is.
well, I mean, we can name a DR. That's, you already have in the minutes.
His name.
So he's named it, but his contract, I need to mess with that.
Well, this.
I think we need to go over this some more.
I think we can approve the interlocal agreement.
Yeah.
He's the DR on record now,
Yeah, it's not going to
working,
change it.
working under the current.
I'm fine with not approving Jeremy's, and I think the interlocal agreements need to be taken care of. Maybe not this agreement for contract, because that seems like that's the issue.
Yes.
Right?
With the order, this is the main thing, or we're not gonna be able to have septics. We're not gonna be able to do septics in Hutchinson County.
Order's
So
pretty basic.
the order is very basic, so if y'all aren't ready to mess with Jeremy's contract and y'all wanna do whatever, but it needs to be done soon.
So the order adopting rules of Hutchinson County for on-site sewage.
We can do that.
Facilities.
in the Interlocal
Yes.
agreement and stop.
Yeah.
This is something that we really need, because right now we're not of compliance with TCEQ because the judge is the DR at this moment on our contract.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about that.
Exactly.
But,
I don't.
but in the minutes,
yeah.
in the minutes, you said the court made Jeremy
So
the
he is
Yes,
named.
I do.
DR. So he is the D.
He is the DR and.
Their records are
so-
just not matching.
they just felt that we needed an actual agreement for Jeremy, a contract for Jeremy, not just to
Judge,
be
it's
in the
not-
minutes,
Not the deal.
was their suggestion.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
Correct. And they understood that. They just said that back in the day, their wording was off. So the way that it words now, it wasn't something that the county had done. It was their wording in the contracts stating that the judge was the DR, which was 2008. So Babe Blanks, I believe, was the judge, 2008, where you weren't here yet?
No, I didn't get.
Okay, so.
She's getting out there inspecting.
he's out. He's
2008.
expecting something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way the wording
Might have been
in the
Judge Orr.
order, the very first order, it made it look like the judge was the DR. However,
You might enjoy
it's
it.
not.
No,
And you have to be state certified to be a
You
DR.
do.
You
Yes,
can't just,
you do have to be
you
state
can't just
certified.
name yourself.
I don't think,
I think it would be good for us to find another one if y'all can, so they can rotate on that, or however, I know y'all.
well,
have
that's being
other-
worked on, so, but we're not ready to approve it.
Right, okay, so is, if I understand, if y'all aren't ready to approve that, that's great, but the other ones, I would like to go ahead and get those done, so I can go ahead and send this to TCEQ and let them know that we are compliant and they won't stop our septics.
okay. So what I'm hearing then is possibly I need a motion to approve the interlocal agreements with the city of Sanford, the city of Fritch, and the city of Borger, as well as the order adopting the rules for on-site sewage facilities.
Yes. I move what she just said.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve those interlocals and order. Any further discussion? All in favor? And are you working on the
Yes.
contract?
For the
Okay,
last 2 months.
okay.
Well, that would have been very nice for you to let me know before, after I had sent all that information to you last week. That would have been nice for you to let me know that. But yes, thank you.
Thanks, Amy. And we voted.
I just got in trouble.
You got rubber, man.
I
All right,
got reprimanded.
Item 14
Strike
is to
one.
consider and or approve general liability and auto insurance renewal.
Yes, it's time again to renew our insurance. This is the one that goes from October to October. I spoke with TAC and they said that we can expect an approximate increase of about 7 to 10%. Last year we paid $76,888. So if you add the 10% increase onto that, we're looking at about $80,000 to $85,000. And I just left everything the way that it's.
Well, that was my question.
It's all current. I mean.
Yeah.
Everything's up to date.
Up to date.
All changes been made. I'll make a motion to approve the general liability and auto insurance with that.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? I'm gonna give this to you. I think I signed it. Thank you. Mhm. All right, item 15, to consider and or approve any ARP grant projects. We have a project for, yeah, from the IT to purchase, cybersecurity. Cloud Strike. I was looking for that name. Cloud Strike.
Crowd strike.
Crowd.
Crowd.
Crowd, yes,
Crowd
crowd.
strike.
Sorry.
Cloud Strike
Misspelled.
for cybersecurity monitoring. Did y'all have?
I move to give authorization to Russell to towards this project and purchase out of ARP for the first initial setup.
That have to come back to the court then. with the final,
I think they're still kind of working. I mean, we need to have
Up
like.
to 50,000.
That work, Russell?
I have a question.
I just don't know that.
Yeah.
We're having
It's
down
now.
on the
We are.
budget for the technology and software upgrades. Y'all just want me to move the difference from facilities? That's the one I have.
With
I'm good with that.
amending from facility into technology. Y'all, anybody else?
That like a.
Yeah, we just keep
Period in
adding.
there.
And with the caveat. Just joking.
Okay, do we have a second?
That's second.
We don't even.
I lost track there for a minute. Okay, we have a motion.
Executive.
Right, and a second, any further discussion on that? All in favor? Everyone vote.
Hmm.
Okay, and then we have another ARP project, which we're going to revisit, which was the project for security at the JP2 office and providing that bulletproof glass and safety features there. Gary, do you want to update that?
Yeah, this includes engineer and a little bit of more money from the contractor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll
Sorry.
get it. Okay.
So,
42.5?
yeah,
42,350.
Oh, 42,350.
What was the original?
yeah,
20.
that includes the engine and the
Because the
contractor.
original,
was
I have it, I think.
Something,
yeah, it didn't have the engineer on there.
no. And the contractor wouldn't
Here's the.
high either.
you have to use for engineering.
Center
We
line,
used,
center line,
oh, I thought we used,
no, the center line.
Seeing that.
I
Send it up.
didn't,
Oh,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you say.
Yeah, no, that,
And if they've got $5,100 for the engineering, if it doesn't cost that much, then we'll give that money back to ARP.
but what if it costs more? They say they're not going over that amount?
It could be less. That's what they told me.
So it's not engineered yet?
No, they've gotten together and looked at it. It's engineered.
Yeah, there's a, or is that?
Well, it
just a
can't be
breakdown?
engineered yet, or they'd know the exact price. They have the breakdown here. though.
That's what I was wondering. If it's been engineered, you'd have
He
a.
has
you'd
he
have
has the
a-
time on here, though. I'm almost done.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
he has the time estimates on there.
Here you go. Sorry, I didn't send that to.
they've gotten together. I'll put it that way.
Gotcha.
Yes, you need to see that. Huh?
No, I've seen enough of it.
Y'all have any
It gets
questions,
done.
Gary?
What was the original estimate on that?
36.
36.
This was the original one. It was 37.2.
Oh,
The increase is about $6,100
for the engineering part.
and the contractor. The contractor charges more to meet with the engineer, come over. So they have met together here.
I think we need to get it done.
Yep, it's time.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
We
send it.
accept the ARP for the JP's office.
All right, we have a motion and a second on that ARP project. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, item 16 is to consider and or approve the burn ban or rescind the burn ban.
Drought index is 69. So probably pretty good.
It just keeps on raining.
The
Unbelievable.
lake hit 80 foot last.
I know, woo, woo. That's awesome, except there's no beach. So, dang it.
Oh, is the beach coming?
Yeah, there's really not any.
Take some sand with you,
Yeah.
just sprinkle it on the rock.
Okay, item 17 is to consider and or approve disposal of obsolete office equipment. We have one from the DA's office for a powered audio system that they want to dispose of. And the other one is from Judge Brancho for a printer in Jan's office, which no longer works, as well as a recliner. Why do they have a recliner?
Who wants to reply?
And two rolling chairs from the courtroom that are no longer needed.
Yeah.
Okay. So just those, right?
Nap time.
So I move to dispose of obsolete office furniture as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, item 18, accept certificates of completion from elected or appointed officials.
Sheriff Blake Kemp submitted certificate of successfully completing 4 hours of training and interacting with drivers deaf or hard of hearing.
Hmm?
That's the only one.
I'm just-
That's it.
That's it.
Okay. And item 19, consider and or approve request for use of the club rooms at the Border Library or Fritch.
I don't have anything this time.
I don't either.
Thank you. Item 20, consider and or approve line item changes, transfers and or budget amendments.
I just had a couple of line item transfers from the constable, the treasurer's office, auditor's office. To just move money around to pay for expenditures. The one that I really wanted to point out was the dispatch for the sheriff. I guess in the contract, it included paying 35% of the annual, and help me out, Jerry, it's the
SUA, it's the warranty, post-warranty services for the dispatching.
so this is like the software with Motorola. maybe?
Yeah, well, anything that it has to do with the infrastructure to the radio or dispatching equipment or the repeaters, anything like that, anything that happens with them that are Motorola upgrades that, it's the warranty service for all the equipment. So like the whole system together is $1 million. So anything breaks or anything that needs to be upgraded, that's what that covers.
So when we did budget last year, we weren't aware of that 35% cost, so it was not budgeted for. We just budgeted for what we paid for the dispatching service. So this warranty was not budgeted for, so I was going to take it out of the contingency line item. And then JP2 is already over in her autopsies and her budget is pretty much gone in her department, so there's nothing to offset the autopsies going over. So I was going to move a little bit out of the contingency to give her some money to finish out the year. There's a little bit left over in the sheriff's dispatch line item, so we're only having to move over about $12,720 to cover the remaining. Because we over budgeted the dispatch by a little bit.
I move to approve the budget amendments and transfers as presented.
Nice.
Did someone second that? Sorry. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? I'm gonna send this around so y'all can sign it. Item 21 is to consider and or approve advertising, opening, accepting, or awarding bids.
I just have one, it's for the Microsoft 360, for the IT department, they received 6 bids. I sent over the tabulation forms for you to review those. One, we had to, well, I listed it, but we probably need to throw it out because they didn't bid everything listed on the advertisement. They only bid for the migration and not for the actual licenses. The Apex Technologies doesn't include everything.
Right, they didn't give us the,
Yeah, it just said that they would bill us monthly for the licenses, but they didn't state how much it would be.
Okay. gosh, that one is significantly higher.
One was extremely.
Gosh, proud of their stuff. Do y'all have any questions for Russell on that? 65.
The low bid looks like it came in for intermediate cloud communications, 41,070.
And how do you feel about that company, Russell? Okay. You guys have any other questions for Russell on?
We just moved to accept which bid
Award.
award.
Well, we've got to, accept an award.
For the certain vendor.
Mhm.
I move to award the bid to Intermedia in the amount as stated in their proposal.
Okay.
Amen. Oh, no, period. Oh, wrong.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. That was the only one we had, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We have any other bids still out? No?
No.
Yeah, what happened with
Hannah's truck.
She hadn't gotten.
I haven't heard anything else from her.
Okay.
We had to
She needs to
start
get back with
square
us.
one.
Last time I talked to her, she hadn't had
Nobody responded.
no responses from anyone.
That's so weird.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You had some in hand before.
Well, I mean, she had some, but then none of them submitted
Yeah, no.
a sealed bid.
Right.
Right.
So then it had to start over, so.
Okay, item 22 is to consider and or approve donations to Hutchinson County. Anybody out there? Okay, item 23 is to accept reports from elected or appointed officials.
The June 2023 reports were submitted by Kelly Ratliff, County Clerk, Tammy McBrayer, District Clerk, Leslie Ford, Justice of the Peace Precinct 1, Amanda Wassong, Justice of the Peace Precinct 2, Amy Back, County Treasurer, submitted June 2023 financial report with a tax pull rate as of July 5th, 2023 of 5.07%. Dwayne Chisholm, Road Superintendent, submitted written report for dates June 26, 2023 to July 9th, 2023. That's all I have.
Did you say Leslie?
I did.
Say that one, okay. Right.
So can I ask a question? I don't know if I get all the reports. I get Dwayne's. I don't get all of
They're
y'all's reports.
like the JP reports are just basically numbers, like how many civil cases were new, how many did they dispose of, criminal, how many inquests did they do, how many truancy cases, it's just data. And I can send them to y'all if y'all want them,
We're not approving them, right? I mean, they're just submitting reports.
as required. They're required every month to submit that monthly report to the state.
Well, I would say if they want us to know about it, they could send them to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're good for. If they're
Yeah.
submitted, nobody sees them.
yeah, because I mean, if by chance you're a department head and you're like, we all don't know what I do, and this is what you do, you could send us a report. We're open to those. But
As I get them.
that's up to the department heads. Yeah,
Up to the
I
department
think
heads.
it's
Okay.
statutory
whatever you want to do.
For them to submit it to the court.
For
Yeah.
the court, yes.
So it's kind of weird when we go through this process
Probably should.
and we've never seen them, but we're like,
Should be seen.
I've never seen some of these.
I've never
Okay.
seen them. I
We'll
thought
make
maybe
sure y'all get passed
was.
around.
No, starting in the future.
Yeah. We will make sure y'all
Get
get
them now. Way to go.
I just hate putting my
Talked about
stamp of approval. And I actually didn't see anything. My kids can't even do that.
Okay, item 24 is discussion of county judges and commissioners precinct daily operations.
Roofs on the courthouse and jail, we should be doing the inspections, final inspection next few days.
If it stops raining,
Yeah, well, we're about done with the roof. It's just a matter of putting that extensive conduits up so we could get the boots on and little stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
It's minor stuff now being finished,
good.
but we have to have the final inspection for the 20-year warranty. The manufacturer of the material requires it. We have to have that.
We're shorthanded at the airport. So
Yes, we need a part-time person or
uh,
part-time person.
maybe full-time. Have we just gotten one bid? For the
You mean the
management job?
application?
Yeah, application.
We have two,
Two. Oh,
Two.
okay. Well, I need to talk to you about that later.
and we extended the application period till this Friday.
Yeah. So,
So we'll
we
be
closed the airport Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. And also, Road and Bridge has got one person that's worked at the airport before. So I talked to Dwayne and we brought him over to help them out. Because they're way shorthanded
Okay,
until we can get somebody else in there. We had an applicant, I was going down to interview him and he canceled the last minute. So,
So we couldn't,
so we have a part-time position right now that we could fill for not more than 29 hours a week.
there's no applicants for that.
there's not any, no.
Well, I mean, we really don't even have it posted for the part-time. Because we just found out about that.
How do we handle that as a court when we don't have a director out there, when they answer directly to us as a court? How do we handle hiring for positions?
I heard absolutely nothing about this.
Well,
The gossip's the only way I found out about it.
Well, it happened pretty quick.
it did.
Lee quit early.
The part-time position, I think we could probably, I mean, I shared that on Facebook. I don't know how many people read that. But, I mean, I think that hiring is gonna have to go through us.
Yeah, I thought so too. That's why I was asking.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, we need to, as a court, we've got to communicate with each other better. And I'm with Ben. I didn't find out about it until I saw
Just
it on Facebook.
gossip in the county is the only way I even knew that what happened last week. And I don't care for that.
I just think things like that they're pretty immediate, that we need to have a solution. We need to kind of
Well, I mean, I think
either.
Gary was taking care of things since he's the commissioner over that out there.
It's over
so-
the airport building.
Right.
the Operations. of it.
Right.
I agree.
But we didn't make any actual decisions
Not.
like for,
uh,
but if we can find
Permanent.
someone that we can hire, then that'll come to all of
Saying
us.
You went up there to interview somebody and I didn't even know about.
I had no clue what was going on.
I was out of town and the guy filling in, is like, we're shorthanded. We need someone this weekend. And they had already started interviewing this young man here in Stinnett. And
Lee had
Yeah.
had conversations
So,
with him.
there
Yes,
just was never a action made. And so I said, well, I'm out of town. There's no way I can get back.
and I was out of town.
Yeah. And so somebody needs to go visit with this young
Well,
man.
it wasn't me going to hire somebody, it's me to interview them.
Basically just
It
interview,
was still would have come to the court.
Yeah.
definitely.
So, and that was a process, but in that process, he backed out before they even got the,
Yeah.
So there wasn't any real hiring going on. It was just a interview to see if this is the next step while we're in this short term.
So my question is though, are we gonna have to schedule like an emergency meeting when we find to
Possibly.
get? That
Mhm.
be pretty quick.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Because the deadline or the applications for the actual manager has been extended through this Friday, so we may have to look at the following week of doing some interviews and especially just FYI. Hey, anything else on your precincts?
On the roof of the library there, with all the rain and all that stuff, the crew that's gonna work on the library is working on a building in downtown Amarillo, and the rain is behind on that one. So they said probably the third week. But I'm okay with, because that, sure they're out of the hail season. I don't. Have the hail season.
Anything else? All right, item 25 is to consider and or approve the sale of struck off tax property or tax deeds. We have, the only one we have is that we need to take some action. So we have this tax deed that Chris submitted an offer of $100 for the property in Clemens, which is lots 18 through 20, block 3 in Clemens. And he submitted an offer of $100, and we tabled that. And we need to take some kind of action. The property was struck off to the entities in 99 and appraised at $300. So we tabled it. We didn't take any action, but we need to do something because they can't move anywhere down at the tag office to say, take it back to the other entities and say, okay, they approved or whatever until we do something.
So I gotta ask this question, since it's kind of I was out of the road closure stuff.
Right.
Are y'all done with the road closure discussion or
Yeah,
is that still open?
it's done.
Okay.
There was an
But-
order.
It's my understanding that was turned down from another entity, so the offer was turned down, is that correct?
That's what I understand.
That's what I understand, so I'm in agreement with that.
So is that a motion to reject?
I would make a motion to reject the offer of $100 for that.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reject that bid. Any further discussion? Okay, Chris, you can't vote. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay,
I'm confused. So we're rejecting the bid
of $100.
of $100. So it goes back on.
Right, we're not saying, we have we can accept, we can reject, or we can offer a counter. So if we reject, that basically just says all the other entities are notified of that. And if Chris wants to submit another offer, he can.
Okay,
Or it dies.
yeah.
Yeah,
It just gone.
Well, it didn't die.
well, no, Chris has the option to submit another offer. Okay, that was the only tax deed that I had. Or struck off property, sorry. So Leisha, do you have anything on the budget?
No, I don't. I have actually gotten some additions to the budget that I'm working on putting in. Kelly gave me the updated information for the elections.
Mhm.
I know that Jerry submitted one for some cameras, but we'll have to add in the new IT stuff. I'll get all that if we can meet maybe like Wednesday morning. And go over some.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, so that we can.
I
get-
can't Wednesday morning because we have court.
Okay, Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah,
That way we can get the actual numbers to present to you guys, so y'all can start having your department meetings with the departments.
I know Carrie's busy, but we typically already have the evaluation.
No, we don't have the certified values yet until the end of this month. It'll probably be around the
July, not
25th.
June.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking it's the end of June, but
no,
it's
it's July.
end of July.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's when you really kind of know what you got to work with.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Gotten in a huge trouble about it. You don't know how much money we have.
Yeah. I always thought it
We
was.
want to spend a whole bunch of money before we realize we don't have it.
You get a car, you get a car. Oh, no.
No, nobody gets a car. Okay, anything further that y'all can think of? Budget wise? We'll be getting some of the departments in here to talk about their budgets, so we'll get that scheduled. Okay, Gary,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, thanks, y'all.